Hello everybody, welcome to the Actors Lounge television program. I'm Captain Tony Lankford here for the Actors Lounge, here at the Star Trek exhibition at the wonderful Franklin Institute. As you can see, I'm sitting in the original captain's chair. This is my personal dream come true, and that's my hero right here. So, we're going to go take a look at what's happening here at the Franklin Institute at the Star Trek exhibition. Hang on as we go into warp speed. Engage. Now tell us a little bit about what the Franklin Institute is, and what's the importance of the Franklin Institute?
Well, the Franklin Institute is one of the country's oldest, and I would like to say, premier science centers, science museums, and it's really about exploring science and technology, inspiring a passion for what science and technology does, its role in our lives, and the way it helps shape the very world around us. And so we have exhibits, everything from our famous Walk Through Heart that's been 50 years old, that everyone from surgeons to actually surgeon generals have walked through and become inspired by, to a 50,000-ton locomotive, to the Wright brothers' original aeronautic collections, and amazing hands-on devices that help you explore science in a brand new way.
Great, fantastic, fantastic. And once again, Star Trek the exhibition is running how long, and where can we see it?
So Star Trek the exhibition is here at the Franklin Institute. It's going to run until September of this year. It opens today, but you want to get in early because as these exhibits build in steam, it gets more and more crowded. So if you want that intimate moment with any of these objects, now's the time to come.
Why do you do this? What motivates you to do what you do?
Because it's fun to get up in costume and pretend that we're actually on the Enterprise. We have an extremely diverse crew in terms of ethnicity and in terms of jobs, careers that we've had. We all love the series in one incarnation or another, and we love getting dressed up and acting like kids.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Now, in your organization, in the USS Sovereign, is there any particular era of Star Trek that you're all involved with, or is it different eras and you just pretty much do what you like to do?
We all are Star Trek fans, but some of us like some of the series better than other series. I'm a Next Generation person. A lot of the members are into the original series, but we all love the movie.
Okay.
And what we like the best, besides the scientific aspects, the technology, and the storylines, is that in the different series and in the movies, the writers tried to stick with Roddenberry's ideal of people getting along.
Your father was captain of a starship for 12 minutes. He saved 800 lives, including yours. I dare you to do better. Enlist in Starfleet.
You will experience fear. Fear in the face of certain death.
Pull your chute!
We received a distress call.
I've been waiting for this day my whole life. This day of reckoning.
We've got no captain and no first officer to replace him.
Yeah, we do.
You are capable of deciding your own destiny. The question is, which path will you choose?
James T. Kirk was a great man. That was another life.
Airlocking torpedoes. Emergency evasive.
Fire everything!
So we've got the new IMAX film that's opened up here with the new film, and a really amazing exhibition, Star Trek the Exhibition, that spans all 40 years of the Star Trek franchise. So it's everything from Captain Kirk's chair to we just learned we have props from the very brand new movie that will be showing up here for the first time, and everything in between.
That's fantastic. You know, it's so incredible that Star Trek has been around for 40 years. And I'm like the biggest Star Trek fan ever to exist. And I was around with the original series. What do you think Star Trek means to like the average person? Not just the kids, but the adults as well.
Oh, well, and to the adults, it's been around for 40 years, so we've all grown up with it. I mean, it's become part of the pop culture climate. I mean, it's part of our Americana, if you will. But I think really what's most exciting about Star Trek, what always engages people, is it's about the characters and it's about adventure. And it's about science as adventure. So if you think of the characters, they're scientists, they're engineers, they're doctors, and they're out in space exploring new worlds. The whole shtick that goes along with it as this grand adventure, which is what's so exciting.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, Star Trek, now what, the exhibition here, what can we expect to see from Star Trek, the exhibition here?
Well, the exhibition encompasses, as I said before, 40 years of props, costumes, and some full sets. So we're really excited, for example, to have the bridge of the Enterprise D complete in our building for you to be able to walk around, sit in Picard's chair, and of course Captain Kirk's chair from the original Enterprise. Right. And you can put yourself down right where William Shatner sat and put the command to go to warp speed.
As prescient as Star Trek was about technology, it was also so about social issues, and really was very much of a pioneer and a front runner. Whether it was race relations or interracial relations, that was part of Star Trek. When you look at who was on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise and the mix of aliens and humans, the mix of various races, it was, when you think about it during the Cold War, and the fact that Gene Roddenberry had that kind of vision and that kind of optimism was important to people then, it's very important to people now.
And finally, what does Star Trek mean? What is it?
When my son, who is now a grown man, was in middle school, he had an assignment, and he had to explain what the word microcosm meant. And I sat with him for over an hour, and he just couldn't get it into his head. And I finally said to him, the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. And his face lit up. And he said, I get it, because you've got Uhura, and you've got Spock, and you've got people from all over the place, different species, and he understood. And that's what it means, that people of all kinds of backgrounds should be able to live in peace.
Hi, this is Tony Lankford for the Actors Lounge. We're on the bridge of the Enterprise D. We have to go to commercial right now, but we'll be right back.
Character of deeply rooted internal conflict and duality as we see him in this film. He is half human, half Vulcan. He's really torn between these two halves of himself, and at the point where we meet him in this story, he's defining the path that he wants to walk in his life, and in so doing he feels really beholden to his Vulcan heritage, but also feels really connected to the stirrings of this human emotion that exists in him, as embodied by his relationship to his mother, who he loves very much. And then there's a bit of a jump to when he's a professor at the Starfleet Academy, where Kirk is a student, and there you start to see the sort of disparity between these two characters' points of view.
Enlist in Starfleet.
Enlist? You guys must be way down on your recruiting quota for the month.
Well, if you're half the man your father was, Jim, Starfleet could use you. You can be an officer in 4 years. You can have your own ship in 8. You understand what the Federation is, don't you? It's important. It's a peacekeeping and humanitarian armada.
We done?
I'm done. Riverside Shipyard. Shuttle for new recruits leaves tomorrow, 0800. Your father was captain of a starship for 12 minutes. He saved 800 lives, including your mother's and yours. I dare you to do better.
Pushing in. You know, we think like 100 here, so it's like wide enough. But to see them, these two, and then we could do a longer lens, you know, a 2-shot tighter, and then close as we wanted. Here we go. And we're gonna microphone here, right? Yes, sir. Sir, here we go, right away. Stand by.
Yeah, somebody got to
Piece of rock. Collapsing this way. We're moving past this thing with the rocks like bam, you know, bam, and dust it there, dust it there. You know, they react to that as we come around. So that series, but never a Trekker. But I knew that there was something to Trek that had not been done yet, and I was just immediately compelled by it, and desperately wanted to be involved for a lot of reasons. But it was one of those things that I just jumped at the opportunity.
I think there's something really exciting about a girl that can hold her own with the boys, and she can hang out with the boys but still be very commanding and look very feminine, and Uhura definitely has that quality to her, and she's still like a very strict person, and she's very hardworking, but at the same time she knows you know, when to, you know, add her 2 cents and help Captain Kirk and Spock save the day, which is like really cool. The chemistry was awesome. It was just meant to be there. And I love being in that kind of crowd, and I never once felt like the odd person out, like the only girl or whatever. I was always sort of incorporated in all the fun and all the jokes and stuff, and there were many. Hi, I'd like a Clabnin Fire Tea, 3 Budweiser Classics, 2 Cardassian Sunrises, and
Gotta try the slusho, it's good.
The slusho mix, thank you.
There's a lot of drinks for one woman.
And a shot of Jack, straight up.
Make that 2 shots on me.
Her shot's on her. Thanks, but no thanks.
Don't you at least want to know my name before you completely reject me?
I'm fine without it.
You are fine without it. It's Jim Kirk. If you don't tell me your name, I'm gonna have to make one up.
It's Uhura.
Uhura? No way. That's the name I was gonna make up for you. Uhura what?
Just Uhura.
They don't have last names in your world?
Uhura is my last name.
Well, they don't have first names in your world?
Excuse me, buddy.
So, you're a cadet, you're studying, what's your focus?
Xenolinguistics. You have no idea what that means.
Study of alien languages, morphology, phonology, syntax. Means I've got a talented tongue.
Hi everybody, it's Tony Lankford again at the Star Trek exhibition here at the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia. We're in sick bay and we're with Lisa. Oh, and Lisa, tell us, what are you doing here today?
I'm here with one half of a group called the USS Sovereign. I'm one of your live props, so to speak, to be here to answer any of the press's questions and about Star Trek and or our club, the USS Sovereign.
And when did you start this? When did you start doing this?
I myself have been a huge fan since, without giving away my age, the original Trek. The group, the USS Sovereign, has been in existence for 19 years. They'll celebrate their 20-year anniversary next year, and I've been a fan of the group for 2 years now, since I came back to Philadelphia.
That's great, fantastic.
So I'm one of the newies.
Fantastic. Now, what do you think is the cultural importance of Star Trek?
I believe the cultural importance of Star Trek is that we can all get along. It is the core belief of the Vulcan. That's why I chose a Vulcan as my persona. They believe in the IDIC, which is IDIC. It's infinite diversity and infinite combinations. And I think Gene Roddenberry's was to show that we could all get along.
Absolutely.
That we're all, and I am a nurse by trade, and as I tell my students, I told my children, once you peel away the skin, we're all the same. We all have a red heart, we bleed red, we have white bones, we have gray matter. So, you know, it's just skin color.
Those are really inspirational and important words to live by, even though it is coming from a TV series. The basis of those ideas for all of us getting along and being happy and living with each other is so very important, especially in this day and time.
With the genocide in Darfur, and the 6 million Jews, and just the mass genocide that's going on in this world. It's just, and going down to South Street, Philadelphia, and getting blown away for no reason whatsoever. So it's very important.
So the ideal of Star Trek is very important to all of us, to mankind.
Yes.
Great, great. Now, what do you think of the exhibition here?
I haven't had the privilege to see it all, but it's exciting, and I can't wait to see it all. I can't wait. So this is great. I've been unable to get to the experience in Las Vegas before they close, so if this is as close as I come, I'm tickled pink.
Great, fantastic. You can come in a little closer. Now, what is it in character? What are you doing here? Now, what is this? We're in sick bay, and this is a diagnostic ward here, right? So what is it you're actually doing to this person?
I'm borrowing a prop, and this is what, in the original tracker, this is, if you're not in sick bay, this is your mobile medical tricorder. You would wave this over their body to see what exactly it is. It served the purpose of an X-ray and an MRI and a CAT scan all in one. It showed broken bones or soft tissue injuries, or if you're, like internal injuries or a blood disorder or any type of disease. This is what was carried when you're out of sick bay.
Now we're going to go to engineering. And this is the panel here. This is the console that Geordi LaForge used on the Enterprise D of Star Trek The Next Generation. And could you tell us a little bit about this console, please?
This console is where Geordi can control most of the ship from here as well as from behind there. But here I would say is like the command center. Up here are the schematics. He has the whole ship laid out, and at any given second he can tell what's wrong with or what's rotting in operational just from looking at the schematics. And if he needed to fix something, he would come to this console right here and push on the buttons. The dilithium chambers is in there.
Okay, is in there.
No, behind the round.
Okay.
And it also is behind. This is what you're seeing is actually the warp coil.
Mm-hmm. And they don't use crystals anymore, do they? No big bulky crystals that burn down.
No big bulky crystals. They're more jewel-looking.
Yeah.
By the Enterprise D.
Okay.
And behind that door also is the antimatter chamber as well. So that's
Wonderful.
Another reason why you can't go in there.
Okay. And behind us, this panel here shows us the warp nacelles on the Enterprise. And these controls tells you what status the warp engines are, and accordingly so here. Their primary sequence, secondary sequence, auxiliary sequence, and so on.
What you will see beyond, I think, the characterizations and the emotional connection between the characters, you will see something else that I think you've never seen before in the Star Trek story, Star Trek movie brought to life on film, which is visual effects at a quality that it deserves, and on a level that I think will be, potentially groundbreaking.
The set was just so great. The art department did an amazing job, and some of the gadgets were even usable. Like, you would touch them and they would make a sound, or you would press your finger on a screen, it would move, and you're like, "What is this?"
You literally felt like this ship could fly, that the set could fly. Between the 100 plasma screens that were constantly, projecting data and different graphics, and the buttons that would, change color if you touched them. I mean, it was
so cool.
It was very, very cool. Yeah.
To me, it was the opportunity to work with someone like JJ. I've been a fan of his work since Regarding Henry, and as a woman, you can only be so lucky to work with directors that can write amazing roles for women. And he had established that with Felicity and Alias, and also in Lost, and Cloverfield, and Mission Impossible 3 gave me sort of like this idea that he not only is he a good writer for amazing characters and for women and men, but he can also tell a fascinating story and has a great eye for action if he wanted to. And I just really wanted to have that opportunity. And I didn't know, however, that I was gonna also fall in love with Star Trek, and me being a non-fan, it was a great way to meet these new characters and fall in love, especially with the friendship between Spock and Kirk.
Alex Kurtzman and Bob Orsi wrote on Alias and produced Alias with me, and then I had them come on to Mission Impossible. We wrote that script together, and then for Trek, it was a no-brainer to work with them. You never have to have seen Star Trek ever to love this movie. And that, to me, is the key to the movie. We're not making Star Trek for Star Trek fans. We're making Star Trek for moviegoers. And if you happen to be a Star Trek fan, you will love it. But you don't have to be to see this movie.
Well, I don't need a doctor, damn it, I am a doctor.
You need to get back to your seat.
I had one in the bathroom with no windows.
I
suffer from aviophobia. It means fear of dying.
Sir, for your own safety, sit down, or else I'll make you sit down.
Fine.
Thank you.
This is Captain Pike. We've been cleared for takeoff.
I may throw up on you.
I think these things are pretty safe.
Don't pander to me, kid. One tiny crack in the hull and our blood boils in 13 seconds. Solar flare might crop up, cook us in our seats. And wait till you're sitting pretty with a case of Andorian shingles. See if you're still so relaxed when your eyeballs are bleeding. Space is disease and danger wrapped in darkness.
Well, first getting a call from JJ was kind of like, wow, okay. What are you talking about? Really? Okay. And came down to Paramount and read the script, and in a locked room and all that business, because there was so much secrecy around it. And then once I got a grip on the story, I just really want to be part of the story. Pike, this iteration of Pike, as distinct from Jeffrey Hunter's iteration, has a very different dilemma. Hunter's dilemma is whether or not to remain in Starfleet, and my dilemma was whether or not to invest in Kirk. What I see in Kirk that's not apparent to Kirk is that his rebel streak and his bravado are actually masking a very quick mind and a very capable mind. And it's inviting him to invest in the deeper parts of himself that is appealing to me and that finally hooks him.
ship. Are you familiar with this craft?
Who is your commander? Is it him?
I will speak for Captain Nero.
Then ask Captain Nero, what gives him the right to attack a Federation vessel?
Do you know the location of Ambassador Spock?
I'm unfamiliar with Ambassador Spock.
What is the current star date?
Star date? 223304. Where are you from?
I play Hikaru Sulu, who is the helmsman of the Enterprise, and he's got many interests, fencing foremost among them, and he's a very intelligent guy.
I think the script beautifully enables the characters to say the lines that kind of made them famous without ever it being a sort of wink, wink, you know, isn't this funny kind of thing. So everyone has their moment and says their line, but it's never at the expense of the story.
I feel like there's a certain sense of nervousness because it's such a small club that we're members of at this point. I mean, there's I'll be the second of two guys that have played Sulu. You know what I mean? So there's a certain headiness about the whole adventure, and I think it bonds us even tighter.
It's got a lot of very interesting environments to find yourself in, and at the same time it's funny, and at the same time it's touching, you know, and that's what I meant by when I read the script, I loved it without having any previous knowledge of anything Star Trek related, is just because it's a great story.
I'm just really excited to see how people respond to it. You know, I had the experience of watching the movie a couple of weeks ago for the first time, and it's just it really never stops. It really is like it starts from the beginning, and it's a true ride.
This Star Trek movie is the origin film, and it deals with the characters that you know and love, but in a way that I don't think anyone expected. There were great moments of comedy, and you wouldn't think of Star Trek as a comedy, but this movie is about making a fun movie. This is a movie that, you know, I want people to go see and literally leave the theater and get back in line again. I mean, it's like that feeling I used to have when I was a kid and I'd go to see movies, and it was like that enormous communal experience. You just went through this great thing together, and I feel like that's what we're going for. This is a fun film, and the great thing about this too is it's open.